Commander Replay. We try out this Judith Aristocrats plus Kaldra build on 3 unsuspecting Patreons. Find out who wins next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, just want to say thank you to all of my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. For the launch of Ravnica Allegiance, I'm doing something a little bit special. I'm allowing everyone, including non-Patreons, to vote on which commanders they want to see most from Ravnica Allegiance. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Judith the Scourge Diva. Take a look at this opening hand. 6-lander. I think we're going to take our free mulligan on that one. Yeah, this looks a little bit better. 3 lands plus a Solemn Simulacrum. Makes me feel a bit better. A little slow with a 6-drop and a 7-drop and no crazy amounts of ramp other than the Solemn Simulacrum, but I guess we've also got some removal, so removal's cool too. So we'll keep that. So today I am joined by 3 Patreon supporters. First up, we have Rogaku playing Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. Yidris always makes me nervous. Never know when it's going to be a really powerful Storm off deck, so we'll see how that goes. Don't know if they have other plans, but the really good Yidris decks will make you nervous about all Yidris decks, so always something to watch out for. That brings it to our turn 1. We draw a Disciple of Bolas. We'll get us some card draw once we get that going. Should pair nicely with the Solemn Simulacrum. Next up, we have my buddy Dave playing Angus Mackenzie. Ooh, Angus Mackenzie. Is the Turbo Fog Commander. Is Bant for a 2/2, pay Bant, tap it, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn, activate this ability only before the combat damage step. It's a really annoying commander once it gets going. A lot of people like to play Super Friends with Angus. We'll see if that's what he's up to today. But yeah, being that I generally like to do a lot of attacking, Angus Mackenzie is not my favorite commander to face down. And finally, we have Doc Chalk playing Lena Selfless Champion. Actually a really sweet card. One that I played on stream on Singleton Showdown the other day, and is just really, really cool. So, Lena is 4 white for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token for each non-token creature you control. And then the really cool part says, sacrifice Lena. Creatures you control with power less than Lena gain indestructible until end of turn. Which means you can basically turn all of your board wipes into one-sided board wipes, which is really, really good. Swiftfoot Boots come down for the Lena, and Dave lays down a Noble Hierarch on his turn. So that's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw into a Runescarred Demon. Let's play a Mountain. Could use a land off the top. 37 lands in this deck, so pretty good chance we should find a land very soon. And a Heuristic Study coming down for the Angus opponent. Enlightened Tutor for the Lena. That's going to trigger the Heuristic Study one time. Let's see what they want to do with that. Looks like they're going to pay for it. Sounds good to me. Not a lot of enchantment removal in our deck. I cut Ugin at the last second because Ugin does exile everything, and exile is kind of bad for our Aristocrat style of play. By the way, we should talk about what we're actually playing today. Playing Judith the Scourge Diva is 1 red-black for a 2/2. Says, other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith deals 1 damage to any target. So, interesting commander, because the first thought you have is like, maybe I should be playing a token deck, since it's an Anthem creature for all of my creatures. But unfortunately, the second half of that ability wants you to have non-tokens in play, so we're doing the Aristocrat style thing with Bloodghast, Reassembling Skeleton, and Nether Trader. And we'll be trying to sack those repetitively to do a bunch of crazy things. Now, the other thing I wanted to focus on with this deck also is that 1 damage. So, I used to play an Olivia Valderin deck, and when you put Death Touch on Olivia Valderin, 1 damage kills anything. So I decided to focus around that a little bit. Now, the creature section of this deck list is inspired pretty heavily by the Command Zone guys. They had a really tight creature section. The spells and the artifacts, I went a little bit different. I did want to focus a little bit more on the giving creatures that do damage Death Touch kind of thing. And we're also running the Kaldra package, because Sword of Kaldra says whenever a creature does damage to a creature, exile it. Does not need to be combat damage. So if we get that on Judith and get our sack engine going, we can exile creatures at will, which is really, really sweet. So a Chromatic Lantern comes down for the Yidris opponent, and then Greater Auramancy for the Angus opponent. Hopefully the mono-white player brought Austere Command and friends. Lena's going to crack their Myriad Landscape. Sounds good. We actually need to find a land off the top pretty badly. Things are going to get really awkward if we don't. Our hand is clunky. There's a land tax. Run out of mana to pay for the Heuristic Study, though. They did just crack a Myriad Landscape, though, so it will be at least a few turns before land tax actually does anything. Oh, we draw a land off the top. Nice. That was close. It was really close. We almost didn't make it. So I think right here I'm going to go for the Solemn Simulacrum. Unfortunately, we cannot afford to pay for the Heuristic Study, so they will get to draw a card. It also occurred to me that we totally could have played our commander last turn. Totally forgot about that while I was talking. Whoops. It's okay, we've got a board wipe. At some point, I'm sure we'll need to use it, so Let's see. We have 2 red. Let's get a swamp right here. We have a lot of black in hand. I know we have Urborg out, but Urborg is the type of thing that does get shot by strip mines occasionally. Well, I guess actually there's 2 Urborgs out, so maybe that wasn't entirely necessary. Well, so I guess we're playing around if someone shoots our Urborg with a strip mine and the Yidris player is no longer in the game or their Urborg gets shot by a strip mine. But should that come to pass, we are all set. So Yidris coming down, gonna trigger the heuristic study. There's a carpet of flowers for the Angus opponent. Seems pretty good. Looks like one island in play. Test of endurance. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, you win the game. Uh-oh. It does have Shroud. I'm still looking at the mono white player. Austere Command, Hour of Revelation, those are our friends. Cleansing Nova even. I never run Cleansing Nova, though I probably should give it a look at some point. I was looking at it for one of the budget lists I was doing, and turns out it's like $5 in paper, so that's a little bit more than I was hoping. For that much, might as well just go for Austere Command. And there's a burgeoning. So Angus Mackenzie appears to be on the Enchantress plan, with Test of Endurance as a win condition. Cage Sun coming down for the Lena. Yep, that seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Ooh, nice. We draw a land off the top. So we're going to play land. It's going to trigger the Burgeoning. Burgeoning with Heuristic Study is going to get pretty bad, I think. We actually don't need to crack this thing just yet. I'm going to save the Disciple of Bolas. We could use it to sack the Solemn Simulacrum, but since we have the Ancient Craving now, that essentially does the same thing, and we can save the Disciple of Bolas for something bigger later on. Ah, crap. I cracked the fetch land accidentally. Well, since we did that, let's get the Badlands. Play the Ancient Craving. We will pay for the Heuristic Study right here. We go up to 8 cards. That means we will have to discard 1. Was hoping to be able to catch something we could play for 1. Does not appear to be the case today, though. What are we getting rid of? I mean, Disciple of Bolas. We have a Wheel of Fortune in hand, so, like, against Wheel of Fortune, Disciple of Bolas, I don't know. I like all these cards. I don't want to give up any of these cards. We have, like, most of our late-game cards in our hand. We can give up the Runescar Demon. I like Runescar Demon. It does cool stuff, but the other things in our hand are also very, very strong. So, one of the things with Disciple of Bolas versus Wheel of Fortune, the later the game goes, Wheel of Fortune gets more awkward for us to cast because we end up giving our opponents a lot of cards. So there does become a point in time where Disciple of Bolas is better than Wheel of Fortune, especially in the late game. Though it's still early enough that, like, Wheel of Fortune could be good, although I don't really want to put all this stuff in our graveyard. These are a lot of good cards right here. So Yidris, going into the Lena opponent, hits 1 time, gets the Cascade ability. Ugh, Dak Faden. Stealing the Cage Sun doesn't seem like it does a whole lot. The boots could be something, though. Really hope they don't steal our Solemn Simulacrum. That'll get the Cascade 1 time. Cascades into a Talani's Crown. Enters the battlefield, does 1 damage to Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature has 3/0 and Trample. Interesting. Actually, stealing the Cage Sun would take away Cage Sun from the other player. So it wouldn't give Dak Faden anything, but it would certainly hurt Lena. See how they want to play that. So Yidris now pretty big. I think next turn we might just slam this Karavek. Just see where that gets us. Karavek is kind of a party killer. Does a lot of damage. Oh, we're going to go with the loot mode on Dak Faden. So I guess opponent not really wanting to steal the Cage Sun or the boots. Ooh, so end step swords on the Yidris opponent. And there's a Beside You. Beside You came down last turn. Oh, hey. Dave just doubled his life with Beacon of, Immortality? Yeah, he's up to 74 now. So, we're going to need something to either kill the Test of Endurance or reduce his life total significantly. Soul Ring for the Lena opponent. Anointed Procession for the Lena. Opponent's going to Martial Coup for 7. It doesn't do a ton right here. It does give them a lot of tokens, but that assumes that the game is going to go another turn, which at the moment it's not going to. We get to draw with the Solemn Simulacrum. We draw a Nether Trader. We draw into a Volraz Stronghold, so we'll go ahead and play the Volraz Stronghold. Burgeoning will trigger. So we're going to lay down the Karavek, because that's about the only thing we can really do at this point. So Soul Ring for our opponent. Gonna shoot Dave. Opponent's going to steal the Cage Sun. Yep, don't know that that's going to do much. Opponent's going to play a Nicole Bolas God Pharaoh. Continue to shoot Dave. It's going to use the target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land. Until end of turn, you may cast a card without paying its mana cost. Here comes a Windfall. Continue to shoot Dave. Problem is now opponent's out of mana. So it's going to bring it back to Dave's turn, and he's going to win the game. Test of Endurance. Ugh.